Hey everyone, this is Friedel Hakaraja Raven. I'm here with my recommended review of Digimon Ghost Game Season Anime as Season number 1, Episode number 4, which is titled The Doll's Manor. And this episode featured Halloween, which makes sense because it's Halloween this weekend, and I ended up enjoying the scares in this anime episode. Even though it was more child friendly, there were some very awesome scares, and that made me think how even more scarier everything could have been if this was targeted more at adults. But yeah, the episode opens up with these new characters decorating the Cosmo Culture Center or Cosmo Culture School for Halloween, and we get to see this guy. He's like, I've decorated one specific room, so I'm going to go ahead and start decorating the other rooms. And as he's walking alone through the corridor, he notices these 4 pumpkin-headed bodies on the bench, and as he's walking, he hears someone whisper "trick or treat," and that scares him. And I'm like, you know what? If that was me, and I was walking alone in the corridor, I would have just ran. I would have just ran. So as he's trying to walk onto the next room, this is where he ends up getting attacked by one of the dolls that stands up from the bench, and I'm like, wait, is this supposed to be Pumpkinmon? Because I do recognize Pumpkinmon from the Digimon world, but I'm like, but this doesn't look like Pumpkinmon. Yes, this creature has a pumpkin head, but I'm not really sure if it's Pumpkinmon. So we do get an answer later on in this episode, because I was like, wait, so Digimon Ghost Game changed Pumpkinmon's entire design? That doesn't make sense to me. So the guy or the kid, I think he's supposed to be a young adult or I guess. So he gets attacked, he gets knocked out, and yeah, as I said, one of the 4 ended up waking up and drags the young adult through this curtain to an abandoned part of the school, the culture school. And as the person is being dragged away, we get to see Cosmo, the hologram, just minding its own business. It doesn't notice the guy being dragged away or tries to raise an alarm or something. And I'm like, wait, I know that Cosmo is supposed to be a hologram. Is Cosmo even capable of ringing an alarm if it notices something bad happening? Who knows? But then again, it does seem to have some sort of intelligence because it does greet people who walk in. So yeah, we have our first victim, and then we get to see Ruri. She's helping around the culture school as well, and this is a new character who I guess is supposed to be the boss of the group, who's looking and is responsible for all of the decorations and the staff working under her. I do not remember her name because again, I'm not really sure if she's supposed to be an important character who will show up again. If she shows up again, I'll try to remember her name. So yeah, Ruri's here, and as these two are talking, they're like, there's a whole lot of decorations still that need to go up. And we get to see these characters walk in, and they're like, Ruri, I think we won't be able to manage all of this on our own. We need help. And you can notice Angoramon behind Ruri. So it turns out that similar to Hiro, Ruri introduced Angoramon to the rest of the people around her as a hologram. So yeah, because people in this fictional world are comfortable with holograms around them, they take Ruri's word for it. So Ruri is like, yeah, I've got the perfect guy to help us out. And it turns out that it's Hiro. She ends up messaging Hiro to come over to the culture school to help. And yeah, considering that Hiro is a character that likes to help everyone, that's exactly what he does. So Hiro is walking towards the school with Gamamon in his backpack, and Gamamon notices these people dressed up for Halloween in scary outfits. And Gamamon is like, okay, so all of these people look weird. And yeah, Hiro ends up explaining the concept of Halloween to Gamamon about how it's a holiday and people dress up, and it's basically a festival, a celebration. They don't necessarily go into details about why Halloween is celebrated, but yeah, basically as far as Gamamon is concerned, it's a time of the year where you can get free chocolate, and Gamamon is very excited about that. So as Hiro is walking, a kid notices Gamamon, and he's like, oh, what's that? And of course, Hiro doesn't want to attract any unnecessary attention, so Hiro runs away. he hides behind he hides in an alley, and he's like, wait, Ruri mentioned something. Ruri mentioned about being able to make Gammamon invisible, so he messes around with the watch, with his vital bracelet, and yeah, instead of making Gammamon invisible, he ends up entering this weird reality, which in my opinion, I'm like, wait, this doesn't look like the actual Digimon world, which it isn't. We get an explanation about it later on in the episode, but I guess this is the point where the real world and the Digimon world kind of meet each other. So basically, a benefit of being in this meeting point is that whatever you try to break, for example, Gammamon notices this poster, the standee with the chocolate on it, and Gammamon is like, oh, the champion, the chocolate, and he jumps on the standee, and it breaks, and Hiro's like, Gammamon broke a standee, so he goes back in, he messes with the vital bracelet again, he presses a few buttons, and he goes back into the real world. So it turns out that in the real world, this chocolate standee is still there, so of course Hiro is confused, but again, we do get an explanation, not an entire explanation per se, not a full explanation, but we do get something. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I think that this is the meeting point of the digital world and the real world. So you can mess around at this point, and I think it won't affect the digital world, and it also won't affect the real world. That's my theory. So Hiro is at the culture school, and Ruri introduces Hiro to the rest of the group, and I'm like, yep, all of these girls are victims. They are going to get kidnapped by whatever Digimon is attacking these people. And that's exactly what happens. But yeah, Ruri is testing Hiro out. She's like, Hiro, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Can you pick up the ladder over there? And Hiro's like, yeah, I'll do that. And Ruri's like, wait, so you really are the type of person who doesn't say no to anyone, huh? And Hiro's like, yeah, I find that to be easy. Just to say yes to someone and helping them, I think that that's easy for me. And I'm like, I guess Hiro is the type of character who likes avoiding confrontation. He doesn't like to fight with other people, which is kind of a contrast to Gammamon's personality, who's all about fighting and biting stuff, in my opinion. But yeah, again, I'm like, Hiro, I appreciate you being a helpful person, a helpful young kid, but I need to see a character arc where Hiro realizes that, you know what, maybe sometimes helping someone isn't necessarily a good thing, and that can cause a whole lot of trouble. So I need to see Hiro go through a bit of character development in that aspect, about that yes, you can be kind, you can be helpful, but there are also consequences when it comes to helping bad people. So anyway, we get to see the rest of the staff members continue to get kidnapped. I really like this particular sequence where this girl goes into the storage room to get the LED candles, and it's quite dark. The power goes out, and she turns on the candle, and yeah, the light illuminates the Digimon, and yeah, that Digimon attacks her, and she screams. I really liked how it was done, how it was handled. So as they're walking, this is where Ruri is like, "Wait, Hiro, did you not figure out how to make Gammamon invisible?" And Hiro's like, "Yeah, no, I didn't." And Ruri is like, "Oh, that does, I'll show you." And she ends up making Angoramon invisible, and she's like, "Yep, you have to press these two buttons." And Hiro's like, "Oh, so that's how you do it." So yeah, now Hiro has learned how to make Gammamon invisible when necessary, and he's like, "Ruri, how did you figure this out?" And Ruri's like, "Yeah, Angoramon told me." When Angoramon ended up syncing with my vital device, he's the one who told me how to make make him invisible. And yeah, Hero's like, "Oh, that disability would have come in handy if I knew about it earlier," because it turns out that the principal noticed Gammamon. And yeah, the principal isn't happy because Gammamon is just like biting everything and damaging everything, and the principal is like, "Are you really sure that this is an AI hologram?" And yeah, I guess Hiro lies to the principal. It was a fun little scene. So also, this is where Hiro's like, "Okay, Angoramon, can you teach me more about the digital world?" And Angoramon is like, "Yep, sure, I'll teach you everything that I know." And then we get a little lesson from Angoramon, and Angoramon is like, "I don't necessarily know a lot, but this is where Angoramon is like, yeah, we the Digimon came into being when a network from the human world got infected by a virus, and there's a digital world that actually exists exists with the human world, but there's this gap between them. However, sometimes Digimon do end up going through these doors or portals and landing in the human world. Now, some of the Digimon, like myself and Gamamon, they are able to adapt to the human world, while some Digimon aren't able to. And we move forward, and this is where Hiro is like, Angoramon, I have more questions. So Hiro ends up asking Angoramon about Digi-evolution, and he's like, yeah, when we were fighting back in episode number, I think it was episode number 2, right? Gamamon ended up evolving or turning into Betel Gamamon. So what's that about? And Angoramon is like, yeah, I do know that Digimon do grow up, they digivolve, but it occurs because of time. I haven't heard about a Digimon digivolving into the next stage, and when the fight is over, reverting back to their rookie stage. So Goramon is like, yeah, that's something that I can't help you with. It's something that I haven't witnessed myself. So I guess we'll get an explanation further on about Digi-evolution and how the bond between the Digi-destined, I guess, yeah, Hiro and Ruri are Digi-destined, right? So yeah, the bond between the Digi-destined and the Digimon partners, how that ends up working and helping their Digimon partners digivolve. So this is also where Hiro's like, okay, so do you know about my dad? Do you know what he's doing in the digital world? And Goramon is like, sorry, I can't help you with that. So anyway, we end up going back to Pumpkinmon, and it turns out, yeah, we do figure out that we do find out that it's Pumpkinmon's doing, and it's the design that I recognize. I was like, okay, using Pumpkinmon makes sense. So yeah, it turns out that Pumpkinmon is kidnapping all of these people and giving them pumpkin heads, and then he uses a knife to carve faces in the pumpkin heads while the humans are still alive inside. And I'm like, that is creepy. That is so creepy. They can't move because Pumpkinmon is stopping their movements with these vines. It's a very, very creepy scene, and I think that if this was targeted more at an adult or an older audience, the writers could have gone very, very creepy with all of this. So the entire scene with this girl realizing what Pumpkinmon is doing, it again was well done. She gets kidnapped too. Basically, a whole lot of people get kidnapped, and Pumpkinmon is very happy about it. Again, while I was watching this episode, I was waiting for an explanation about these beings behind the girl. I was like, okay, Pumpkinmon, I understand. But what's happening here? Who are these Digimon supposed to be? And yeah, Pumpkinmon ends up coming out of Cosmomon. It turns out that Cosmomon got infected due to some electromagnetic interference. And again, the entire sequence, quite creepy, quite well handled, in my opinion. And yeah, Pumpkinmon is very, very happy that he has been able to kidnap a whole lot of people, because apparently Pumpkinmon is looking for friends. And I'm like, okay, Pumpkinmon, if you say so. Friends don't necessarily give their friends pumpkin heads and start carving faces in them. So yeah, this is where Akano-san, I think her name is Akano. Again, I'm not really sure if I should make an effort to remember her name. But yeah, she's like, I can't get hold of staff members. So Ruri and Hiro are like, you know what? We'll check the situation out. And it turns out that as they're searching the storage room, this is where they end up going over the information that they know, that all of these people, they basically got kidnapped or they disappeared in a similar way, where they were all alone. And Hiro's like, you know what, whatever's taking these people away, we have to lure it out, and I'll use myself as bait. And Rudy is like, wait, isn't that very dangerous for you to do, for you to put your life in danger like that? And Hiro's like, hey, we don't have any more another option. We have to do this. I use myself as bait, but I'll have you guys as backup. And Rudy and the Digimon agree. So as they're following Hiro through the corridor, this is where they end up noticing Cosmo. And yeah, Cosmo, because it got infected, it's not functioning properly, and it ends up banging itself on the wall. And yeah, the device that was projecting the hologram, it's damaged now. And Gamamon is like, yeah, it smells funny. And Ruri is like, I'm not really sure what's happening. But then the Digimon and Ruri end up noticing one of those weird pumpkin dolls. And this is where we figure out that the pumpkin dolls are being possessed by other Digimon. I think this is Candlemon. And yeah, Candlemon is possessing the pumpkin dolls, and that's why they are able to move around the human world and actually physically touch humans and kidnap them and all of that stuff. And this made sense to me because I was like, wait, these pumpkin dolls, they don't look like a Digimon that I know of, but the fact that Candlemon is the one possessing it made sense to me. So yeah, Candlemon runs away, and as Ruri and the rest of the Digimon are trying to catch it, this is where Ruri's like, wait, where's Hiro? And it turns out that Hiro ended up following one of the pumpkin dolls into the abandoned part of the community school and meeting up with Pumpkinmon. Pumpkinmon attacks Hiro, and I'm like, Hiro, you continue to get attacked. Hiro got attacked by Mummymon. No, first it was Clockmon, then Mummymon, then Hiro got attacked by that devilish, what was it, Dracomon? Yeah, Dracomon in episode number 3, and in episode number 4 he got attacked again by Pumpkinmon. So of course Ruri and the rest of the Digimon come in, and they are able to save Hiro as Pumpkinmon is continuing to carve eyes into the pumpkin on Hiro's head. So yeah, Pumpkinmon, apparently it's an ultimate level Digimon, and I'm like, wait, so that's an ultimate level Digimon, and Goram and Gamamon won't be able to defeat it properly, and this is where Hiro and Ruri are like, we need to get out of here, we need to run. So they start running, and it turns out that Pencilmon, I think this is Pencilmon, I'm not really sure, but yeah, it turns out that it is actually Digimon that were possessing the pumpkin dolls. So Pumpkinmon is like, I need more friends, I need to make those people my friends, so go after them, don't lose them. And as Hiro and Ruri are running away, this is where Gamamon is like, you know what? We don't necessarily have to run, we can fight, so I want to fight Pumpkinmon. And Ruri is like, not yet. We might end up harming the humans that Pumpkinmon kidnapped, so we need a plan. So this is where Hiro's like, you know what, I have a plan. And this is where Hiro remembers how he was able to go to this meeting point between the digital world and the real world, and he ends up activating that mode, and everyone goes there. Everyone goes into that world. So I'm not really sure how it works, but it worked, because when Hiro activated his watch, it turns out that Pumpkinmon and the rest of his minions are also in that meeting place. We need a name for this place, like, again, the meeting point between the digital world and the real human world. Pumpkinmon and the rest of the minions are sucked into it as well. So this is where Pumpkinmon tells Hiro his backstory, and he's like, I came to this human world very lonely, I was all alone, but then Halloween came in, and this is where I noticed that a whole lot of humans were wearing my face, and I really like that, and that's why I need more friends, so that they can all look like me. And I'm like, Pumpkinmon, you need therapy. So the Candlemon and the rest of Pumpkinmon's minions, they end up giving chase to Hiro and Ruri. They run away, and this is where we get to see Angoramon use a new move, which is Petite Tornado, to counter who were they? Pencilmon, I guess? Yeah, to counter Pencilmon's attack. So Angoramon got a new attack. Good for Ruri and him. So this is where Ruri like, we can't just continue running, right? We need a plan. And this is where Hiro ends up sharing his plan with the Digimon and Ruri. And earlier in the episode, Hiro used himself as bait. However, in this particular sequence, it's Ruri's turn to use herself as bait. And I really liked seeing that Ruri, when it's necessary, she can put her life in danger to help her friends. So yeah, she's like, hey, chase after me, come after me. So Pumpkinmon and his minions give chase to Ruri, and it turns out that the kids were able to put up a decoy where they ended up using the statue, and yeah, Pumpkinmon ended up attacking the statue, and Pumpkinmon was like, oh, so this was fake, and Ruri and the rest that were hiding, they're like, yep, this ends now, we have to fight over here, and Pumpkinmon, you have to let the humans go. So yeah, Pumpkinmon is like, I won't be doing that. And because Pumpkinmon is an ultimate level Digimon, he ends up summoning this giant pumpkin in order to attack Ruri and Hiro. Because Pumpkinmon is like, you know what, you guys are mean. I don't want to be friends with you no more. So I'm going to end your lives or hurt you or whatever. So yeah, this giant pumpkin is coming towards Ruri and the rest, and this is where Hiro is like, Gamamon is like, and Gamamon ends up digivolving into Betel Gamamon again, and he ends up punching the pumpkin, and it breaks into pieces. And then Gamamon ends up attacking Pumpkinmon with, what was it, Scorch spat or scorch fire or something. But yeah, it's a flame ball type of thing, and yeah, that hurts Pumpkinmon. Which I'm like, okay, so I guess Betel Gamamon is supposed to be a champion level Digimon, and its attack is able to affect an ultimate level Digimon, which I'm like, I guess it kind of makes sense. I guess if you want it to make sense, because Betel Gamamon, I guess, got a power boost because of his bond with Hiro. But yeah, Pumpkinmon starts crying and he's like, this isn't how I planned all of this to go. And this is where Hiro ends up talking to Pumpkinmon about how he shouldn't force other people to be his friends, and also that friends don't necessarily have to have the same face. If you are having fun hanging around with another person, they're your friend. You shouldn't force anything. And yeah, again, another episode that ends with Hiro basically teaching Digimon a lesson, a life lesson, and I'm like, okay, I appreciate these life lessons, but come on now, I need a serious fight. I need to see Hiro, Ruri in a serious fight. Maybe that will happen when Koshiro joins the group. But let's see. So Pumpkinmon is like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. So are we friends? And Ruri is like, yeah, you put us through a lot, but I guess we're friends now. So Pumpkinmon is very happy. His minions are happy. And Hero's like, you know what, time for us to go back into human world. So he presses the button on the vital bracelet. They're back in the human world. And yeah, it turns out that Pumpkinmon and his minions have gone. The statue that Pumpkinmon ended up attacking, it's still there. And I'm like, okay, so I understand the pumpkin still being there. But how was it tilted over? How did that happen? Because as far as my understanding is concerned, Pumpkinmon and his minions shouldn't be able to actually physically harm an object while they're in that weird meeting place between the two worlds, the same way that Gamamon wasn't able to actually break the standee. So how was Pumpkinmon and the rest able to make the statue fall? But yeah, Rudy is like, okay, so just all of this just felt like a nightmare, huh? And Hero's like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. So the episode actually ends with Hiro making. I think Hiro ends up making this pumpkin face for Pumpkinmon, because they're friends with Pumpkinmon now. And the episode ends and I'm like, you know what, if Hiro is going to go around giving these life lessons to Digimon, I hope all of these Digimon come back in some capacity in the narrative and play a role in helping Hiro face a threat or something, because it's kind of similar to what happened in Digimon Adventure, the reboot, where some people were complaining about how most of the episodes felt like filler, where the kids were making bonds and friendships with other Digimon. However, all of those Digimon did come back and played a role during one of the final fights. So yeah, baby Pumpkinmon, Mummymon, who else? Yeah, Pumpkinmon and Mummymon, they might end up showing up again. But yeah, as I said, who knows? I will be doing a written review of this for the Geekieri. The link to that will be down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of Digimon Ghost Game episode number 4 down in the comment section below. And as I said, I really liked the creepy stuff. However, I would like Hiro and the rest to actually face a Digimon and a Digimon that they actually have to fight. Like even when Gamamon ended up fighting Clockmon just ran away. So I need to see Hiro have an actual fight with a Digimon that Hiro can't change or make that Digimon see the not the light, my bad, the good part, and realize that the Digimon is making mistakes. Like basically, Talk no Jutsu doesn't work on that Digimon, and I want